please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
On the show today, Shumi brings us all the two-wheel motorcycle news from the EICMA Motor Show in Milan and a first drive report of the BMW 6 GT. Hi, welcome to Overdrive. You're watching the show with me, Sohini Dutt. Now, the biggest motorcycle motor show of the year is the EICMA, and it takes place at the end of the year in Milan in Italy. So it's natural for us, of course, to send Shumi out there to report to us from the show floor.
So the EICMA shows kicked off with this motorcycle. That's the new Tiger 800. Lots of changes to the engine, to the frame, but visually the big change is the styling. It's all a little bit sharper than before. There's a lot more electronics on the motorcycle now, including a completely dazzling looking TFT display. The unit looks very similar to the Triumph Street Triple unit, but the graphics are different. And if you look right behind me over there, the red bike is the new Tiger Explorer 1200. The Explorer name is now gone, so technically it's the new Tiger 1200. Again, lots of electronics, but the big deal is that among all the changes, Triumph has managed to lose 11 kilos in all from that motorcycle. What we don't know right now is what are the launch schedules for these motorcycles and how many of the variants will make it to India. But you can be rest assured that given how well these motorcycles do for Triumph India, both of these motorcycles will come to India and soon. The centerpiece of the Ducati stand was the brand new Panigale V4, which debuted as the new performance flagship for the Italian brand. It gets a 214 PS V4 engine, a new box front frame, magnesium front subframe, and a design that evolves from the Panigale sculpt shape. The new headlights look better in the flesh than in the photographs, and the new tail section is just beautiful. Also trying to get into the limelight were three other Ducatis. The Scrambler 1100 gets a version of the Monster 1100 motor, and it's physically a bigger motorcycle. And given the serious changes to the frame and suspension, technically it's all new as well. Honestly though, it looks chubby rather than large, and I was surprised by it. Also new is the Monster 821, wearing a slew of changes, but the other big reveal for Ducati was the new Multistrada 1260. It retains most of the styling, but the Deerwheels engine with the variable valve timing now promises nearly 20% more torque at 4000 RPM. Suspension as well as steering geometry see significant revisions, and Ducati promises that this one will be far better than the outgoing 1200 in every way, especially when you add a pillion and luggage. All four of these Ducatis are headed to India. Watch for the Multistrada ride soon on Overdrive. The KTM stand and the motorcycle you were just looking at is the 790 Adventure prototype, which was confirmed for production for 2019. But the motorcycle that really interests me right now is what KTM calls the Scalpel, the 790 Duke. This is the production form, 105 PS, lots of technology, and it's still a very, very small motorcycle. Now, we had reported earlier that Bajaj was still considering whether to bring this motorcycle to India or not. CKD, CVU, all of those options are with Bajaj. And I'm really hoping, after having seen how small and how potent this motorcycle looks, that they do actually make the decision to bring it to India. CKD model with this engine should not be very expensive. The kind of performance it has, it will make everything else look slow in the market. And that's exactly the kind of thing that KTM should be doing in the Indian market. So here's hoping that the 790 Duke is coming to India as a CKD. Here's hoping that the 790 Adventure will join it sometime in 2 years' time. Since we left the show, confirmations came from Hubert Trunkenpols, KTM's chief sales officer, and then from Stefan Pierer, the CEO of KTM, that the brand introduces the 790 Duke into India officially, either locally produced or CKD assembled in the 2019 to 2020 timeline. That's also the time period being slotted for the Husqvarna brand to be introduced in India. But perhaps the biggest news of the show, without a doubt, was the first salvo in Royal Enfield's quest for the world middleweight domination, its brand new motorcycles. The new Royal Enfield 650 Twins are finally here.
that's the Interceptor 650, that's the Continental GT. Both of the machines you see are identical in terms of the frame, but they're also pre-production prototypes, and the final production models will only come by April. We know that the 47 PS 53 Nm parallel twin is all new, but what we also know is that they're not going to come to India. Initially, they're going to go to Europe first, and Royal Enfield is very, very clear about why. It's basically because India is so large a market that they need quite a bit of capacity going to make these motorcycles to service the market properly, and they're going to delay the India launch for that. Still, they have said in the 2018 calendar year, both bikes will go on sale in India. So we're hoping that at least by Diwali, both the motorcycles go on sale. The question remains pricing. I know that I said earlier 4.5 lakh rupees, but I'm sorry, I was baiting you. The real price should be somewhere around the 3 lakh rupee mark, because what Royal Enfield intends to do is lower the price bar and make these motorcycles really, really persuasive.
The other Indian manufacturer at the show also had something you might consider an impulse purchase.
Hero's star for EICMA 2017 is this motorcycle. It's called the Hero X Pulse concept. Yes, it is a concept, and as soon as you see it, you know that there are a lot of impulse cues in it, because that's where the story begins. Hero says maybe the impulse was a little bit slower than it should have been, maybe it arrived a little bit earlier, but it believes that the market is becoming ready again for a motorcycle like this. What Hero is not discussing explicitly is what powers this motorcycle yet, or when the launch date is likely to be, but we know for a fact that that's the 200cc engine that is likely to power the Extreme 200 that is scheduled to show at the Auto Expo 2018. It's a motorcycle that should be in production form and go on sale, and this should be the same powertrain. The chassis is slightly more reinforced than the Extreme 200 chassis, but that's where this motorcycle story begins. It might just be one of the first on-off-road-ish, bad road-ready motorcycles that Hero will introduce. There might even be bigger ones. We don't know for confirmed that this is a 200 or a 250 when it launches, but we do understand this motorcycle should hit the market at the end of 2018.
Well, there are plenty of India-bound motorcycles that Shumi will tell you about after this quick pit stop. So don't go anywhere, because you're watching Overdrive. Just like I mentioned before this break that there were plenty of India-bound motorcycles that were showcased at the Milan Motor Show. Here's more.
Now let's switch it up, shall we? We confirmed earlier that the second half of 2018 was the likely launch slot BMW has set for both of its TVS manufactured motorcycles, the G310R and the G310GS. But there was more news from BMW Motorrad for India at EICMA.
So I'm sitting on the F750GS. Behind me is the F850GS, the two new motorcycles that BMW Motorrad is showing at the 2017 EICMA motorcycle show in Milan. But the big news, and it's exclusive to me right now, although one of my competitors is standing right here and listening to me, is that BMW Motorrad is seriously considering bringing these motorcycles to India in 2018. The decision has not yet been made, and the initial motorcycles will be CBUs that will come from Munich. They will be competitively priced, is what we've been promised. They're saying if we can do it with the 1200 GS, we can certainly do it with the 750 and the 850. So decisions still remain to be made. Is it this motorcycle, the 750? Is it that one, the 850? What the final pricing will be? But we know CBUs, Munich, 2018, serious consideration. BMW is getting going. We already know confirmations that the 310s, the GS and the R, are also slotted for an India launch made out of TVS at Hosur in the second half of 2018.
Just when you thought that the Japanese, especially Suzuki, were having a quiet show for once,
the top motorcycle at the Kawasaki stand at the 2017 EICMA is this. This is the H2 SX, the touring version based on the same supercharged platform that powers the H2 and the H2R. Still 200 PS, looks absolutely smashing, and of course it's got all the gadgets. But the motorcycle that's really blowing my mind is the Z900 RS, based on the Z1, and they've got a Z1 parked right next to it. All the cues have been transferred. It looks absolutely brilliant. But Kawasaki use a LED headlamp and other details that clearly mark it out as a modern motorcycle. Now the Z900 RS and the H2 SX should come to India. The H2 was about 30-35 lakh rupees. This should also be. The Z900 RS though should be a lot more affordable, should be very interesting to ride. I did recently ride the Honda CB1100 EX, another retro flavored motorcycle, and Honda had absolutely nailed it. And I expect that the Z900 RS will also be similarly a very flavorful retro flavored motorcycle. Lots of new stuff with Honda at EICMA 2017. There's the new Goldwing. We already showed you that from the Tokyo show. There is a very, very nice looking cafe racer modern concept called the Interceptor. Very nice looking back there. The Fireblades here. There's also the new Africa Twin. They've got a new white, cherry maroon and blue color which looks smashing. It's got a new tank. It's a slightly taller motorcycle than before. 95 PS in the European spec. Looks smashing, I think. Should come to India, I hope. Manual transmission will be awesome. The other thing that we've got, and I have only eyes for this at the Honda stall, this is the CB300R. 288cc engine, 31.5 bhp. It's beautifully made. It looks absolutely brilliant, and I think it will make a great premium commuter for India. It looks expensive though, okay? So all the components do look expensive. But if there's one Honda operation on earth that could take something like this and turn it into something we'll be able to afford, buy and enjoy, it would be Honda India. So here's hoping the CB300R comes to India.
And now for a quick roundup of two more brands that are present in India before we wrap up with one more last bit of delicious news. Benelli had a huge stand at the center of which was their new 750. But flanking that was their Diavel style Park Cruiser and the retro style Imperiale, which immediately got labelled the Can It Beat Royal Enfield bike at the show. But the real story for us was the savvy looking new Leoncino, which also showed up with a 250cc engine. This engine was also shared with the TRK 250, a smaller ADV style motorcycle based on the bigger TRK that's now due in India. Here's hoping DSK and Benelli get these motorcycles to India as fast as possible.
So Norton is coming to India. That was the announcement at EICMA 2017 today. They've decided to go into a joint venture with Kinetic. It will be called Norton Kinetic most likely. These motorcycles like this 961cc, 72 PS Commando motorcycles like this will come to India. They'll start as imports by the end of this year, but the CKD production is planned for the end of next year. Norton and Kinetic will also explore the idea that some of the non-critical components could be imported locally and then be imported into UK for production. But the core parts of this motorcycle, and it's a fairly hand-built motorcycle, the core parts of this motorcycle, like the engine, like the frame, will continue to be made in the United Kingdom.
Well, we've got all the videos from the EICMA Motor Show up on our YouTube channel. You can also read up on all the motorcycles on the Overdrive website as well. Though Shumi was not only in Italy last week, he also visited the Royal Enfield Technical Centre in UK. That and the other news from this week on our Motor News section.
Royal Enfield's UK Technical Centre started 3 years ago, but the building has only been in operation for less than a year. But this building includes all the facilities the company needs to do the full life cycle of product development. That's design, that's engineering and productionizing. In fact, the new 650 twins were developed completely inside this facility except for Harris Performance, which works on the frames at their original facility, which is not too far away from the Bruntingthorpe Proving Grounds. What it is still constructing are two important things. One is a much larger dyno setup which will be outside the main building, and a small shed they call EMS, which will be used to tune emissions so that the performance of the motorcycles as emissions get tighter remain as little impacted as possible. Royal Enfield does have a Chennai Technical Centre as well, and the company tells us that both the centres, Chennai and UK, interact heavily with each other. But as of now, in terms of responsibility, the singles are primarily developed out of Chennai, with UK having the support role, whereas the twins will be developed primarily out of the UK, with Chennai in the support role.
On the four-wheeler side, Lexus has showcased its smallest offering yet globally, the NX 300h in India earlier this week. The SUV is on offer in the luxury and F Sport variant and will be priced around the 60 lakh rupee mark. The NX 300h is available with its 2.5-litre petrol engine and is also paired to an electric motor. Deliveries are expected to begin in March 2018. BMW 6 Series GT will be launched early next year, but before that, we sent Shumi to Portugal to sample this car and give us his quick impression on how it feels to drive.
The last time we were here, it was almost the same thing because we're in Cascais in Portugal. We have a white colored BMW. There's not a lot of sunlight, and it's the same again because there's not a lot of sunlight. We are in Cascais. There's a white BMW. The last time it was the new 5 Series. This car is based on that car. This is the new BMW 6 Series GT. The Gran Turismo is an interesting take on the luxury niche car. It was born as a melding of the best parts of a sedan, a wagon and a couple of other body styles. The idea was to maximize many things: feel, space and utility, for example, without taking away from the sporty or responsive feel of a fast sedan. It's a hard task to be sure. The BMW 5 Series GT, the old one, was the first of its name, as it were. Would you call the old 5 Series GT an elegant looking car? I would call it distinctive, but perhaps not elegant because I think it was just a little too tall at the back. Well, they fixed it with this one because from the B pillar onwards, the roofline slopes down a lot more. It's 6 centimeters less tall at the back, and it looks good because when you see it going down the road, you see it like a good-looking coupe rather than a body style that tries to blend too many things together. It really is good looking, the 6 GT. I really like the grille and headlamp combination up front, the taut skin on the bonnet and the creases and curves on the side body. It looks really smart. The clean roofline that turns the stubby 5 GT into a sleek 4-door coupe in silhouette is a very nice addition to the talents of the new BMW Gran Turismo. Now let's look under the hood. This is a 640i. That's a 3-litre twin-scroll turbocharged straight 6 that makes just under 340 PS and 450 Nm. The 640D gets 320 PS and 680 Nm from its 3-litre 6-cylinder, while the 630D has the same 3-litre diesel, but it makes 265 PS and 620 Nm. And the 630D is what we are likely to get in India. All the models I've mentioned so far get BMW's xDrive all-wheel drive as a standard or option. As you can imagine, a 350-ish PS petrol feels lovely to drive, and the 6 GT has a nice roar that accompanies swift progress. But while this engine isn't coming to India, much of the rest of the car is. And one feature that we will definitely find useful is the standard self-leveling suspension. The 6 Series GT allows you to adjust the ride height, and you can raise it 20 mm from its basic, or it lowers itself, or you can do it manually 10 mm when you're at speeds above 120 kilometers an hour. And I thought, what would you really use it for? And honestly, within moments of starting the shoot, we had to, because when we came here, it's a seaside with a lot of rocks on it, we immediately had to raise the car 20 mm, and if we hadn't raised it, we wouldn't be able to get here. So it's a practical feature that I think will find application back home where the road conditions are dicey, and under 40 kph, you can use a higher ride height to get through difficult terrain. I was also surprised at how comfortable the car is. The 6 Series GT has driving modes, and this particular one has all the optional systems enabled, and that makes quite a difference because when you go from sport mode to comfort mode, the car changes in nature quite a bit. The way the steering response itself changes also. But I do wish that initially I wished that the difference was larger. So when you went to sport mode, I wish that the car had become stiffer. But it doesn't actually do that, and then you realize that it doesn't actually do that for a very good reason, because as a GT, its job is not to be an outright sports car. Its job is to present the idea of a sporty vehicle. That I think BMW's nailed the balance of. What you haven't noticed, of course, is that the car is driving on its own, and I don't really have to do anything. It's steering, it's following the road all on its own. Periodically, I have to put my hands back on the wheel to remind the car that I'm awake and I'm looking where I'm going, I'm monitoring what it's doing, but I don't actually have to do anything. Yes, the 6 Series GT has a semi-autonomous mode that works quite well here. It did have some trouble detecting cyclists on these roads and working out how to get around them, but that aside, it's a very effective system. But we've again drifted into features that won't directly be useful to us in India, right? So let's take a look at something useful, like the rear seat. It's a spacious back seat, but my favorite feature is, well, I get to make a little joke. So my favorite feature are these seats because they are recliner seats. Kleiner in German means a little bit because they recline a little bit.
The BMW 6 Series GT will be coming to India next year. We expect the launch to come within the first half of 2018. It promises to be a very nice car and something that should make everyone considering anything from a 5 Series to an E-Class, any car in the segment really, to stop and think about buying a BMW 6 Series GT instead. Because the more I drove it, the more I came to like the blend of space and utility against the sleek silhouette and the sporty but not too sporty nature of this car.
Well, that's a nice car. I think BMW have got the balance between it being a usable car, a useful car, it being a car with a slight sporty character, and it being a car that's good on the highway with a lot of space inside. Really nice. Of course, this engine is not coming to India. We'll get the 30D. And honestly, I can't wait to see what this package looks like in our conditions rather than in conditions as pretty as this.
And with that, we've come to the end of this week's episode of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through Facebook as well as Twitter. You can let us know what you thought about this show as well as our previous shows as well. You can also stay abreast with the latest news from the automotive industry. All you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye and thanks for watching. And also, drive safe.